Alright guys, we have a very special episode for you today. We have Henry Davies, the director of Keystone, which will be Adelaide's first ever skyscraper. It stands at 200 plus meters?
No, 183 meters tall.
183 meters tall. How many? And it's 33 stories tall?
Yeah.
33 stories tall. It's shaped in a glass.
Not a coincidence. But
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. We'll go into that, but it's a obelisk shaped glass structure. It's quite stunning to look at, in my opinion. And we're going to go through all the details of that, and also respond to some of the questions that was on the Instagram page, the Adelaide Sets comments.
There's definitely some things we want to talk about. A lot of people make a lot of assumptions about it being residential accommodation or it being, that we're just going to keep the face of it, like cut off the back of it and just keep the face. So there's a few things we want to go into detail and can correct.
Cool. And before we go any more forward, I just want to do a quick sound check to make sure that our sound is not ruined, because sometimes it is. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Can you speak?
Hello, my name is Henry Davis.
Cool. Alright, that's good. Alright, so I guess first things first. When was the first idea of this thought of?
Right, so for the actual tower, so...
The idea, where did the idea stem from? Like, what was the conversation, or what was the thing that went down that created this idea?
Yeah, for sure. Well, a bit of history about the building. It was built in 1927, started in 1924. So the lodge there was actually built 100 years ago. It was built out of cinder blocks, which are basically concrete and metal cinders. Over time, there's been... Obviously, it's a heritage-listed building. It's a significant building, and it's massive. So it requires a lot of maintenance. So over many years, there have been multiple bids to restore that heritage building. And back then, there was a really strong membership base that was sitting there as well. So they could afford to pay for it. And then now we're in a situation where the membership has absolutely declined. It's a lot smaller than it used to be. So we still have those maintenance issues. So the question and problem came up after a significant amount of work was done to determine what type of works need to be done on the building to restore it, to get it back to where it needs to be. And it was determined, about, it would have been 4, 5, 6 years ago now, that they need about $8 million worth of work to bring that building back up to scratch.
Wow.
So that was $8 million, 5, 6 years ago. So now it's going to be about $12 million, right? Just as a guess. So a huge amount of increase to building costs over this time. So about 3 years ago, I became the chairman of AFNAM Nominees, which is the trustee company for the Freemasons Hall Trust, which owns the building. I realised, and I made it pretty apparent, that we just didn't have enough money to maintain this building. We were losing money every single year. There was no way we were going to reach that maintenance target of what we want to do, so something had to change.
Wow, so what I'm hearing is this classic heritage building that was built over 100 years ago is in trouble and needs repair, and something needs to happen, otherwise it's going to go beyond repair, and it might be abandoned like the other beautiful buildings that have happened in Adelaide. So this is kind of an idea of...
Well, this is what happened to the other buildings,
right?
Is everyone just said, no, don't do anything, don't touch it, don't restore it, and it gets too expensive because heritage restoration costs even more. So if you do anything to it, there's a big angry mob. And so you know what? If you're a landowner and you own a heritage building, you know what you should do at the moment, given the current planning rules and the way it works? Just run it into the ground. Open the doors. Maybe someone burns it down. You just run it down, degrade it. Just wait till it falls over. And then you go, hey, it's so degraded, we can't do anything, can we demolish it?
Yep.
That's what's happening with our heritage now in South Australia. There are some laws around compelling people to do things with these buildings, but it never gets done.
Yep.
So if you drive down North Terrace, you'll see, or even in the city, anywhere, you'll see all of these heritage buildings that are just slowly fading away.
Yep.
They're vacant, their windows are smashed, and there's graffiti all over
Like
them.
West Terrace.
Yeah, I didn't want that to happen, right? Nobody wants that to happen. So what we did was say, okay, how can we deal with this problem? How can we get the income that we need to restore this building? But there's also another 30 odd heritage buildings around the state that the Freemasons own. So in Burnside, out at Port Adelaide, there's one in Clare, for example. There's all these buildings all over the place. So not only do we want to look after the building on North Terrace, but we want to look after all of these buildings. So that was a problem we faced 3 years ago.
Okay, great. So we have the idea. What was the concept? How did the concept... So out of all the things you could have decided, why did you decide a skyscraper being the concept, not some sort of other building, or
Yeah.
why Skyscraper?
Yeah, such a good question. So the thing is that building is old. It requires a lot of work. So first of all, we need to generate money from the site, which is going to maintain that building. And then secondly, well, I guess it came from solving that problem, right? So we've got this big heritage tower. There's challenges underneath it. It's in the city. It's on a constrained site. It's quite a small kind of little spot. And we've got all of these other buildings that we want to maintain. So if we want to solve that problem, and the best way to solve a lot of problems is with money, so we needed enough money to be able to maintain that and all the other buildings. So that then led to a discussion about, if we do a development on the back of it, how big does that need to be? Now, we're dealing with heritage, again, which is expensive. So if we're going to do anything there, if anything goes wrong, right, if there's any kind of problems with it, if there's any delays with it, we need something that's going to be big enough, that has enough equity or enough kind of increase in value there, that can overcome any of those difficulties. So below us, for example, there's rumors about there being mole people and tunnels and
yeah,
all this kind of stuff. And so what happens if we did find a tunnel? What happens if we did find mole people down there, right? So we've got to be able to overcome all these issues. We might have to have a short war with the mole people. I don't know, right? So you need enough fat in it to allow any problems to be overcome.
Yeah.
The other thing is, why wouldn't we start from the biggest possible?
So it's kind of like a glass half full concept.
Yeah, well, let's fill up the glass first.
Yeah.
Let's find a full glass first, right?
Yeah.
So I was really keen. So the Freemasons Lodge on North Terrace used to be Adelaide's tallest building. It used to be. They actually built it, and it was the tallest one. It's actually 10 stories high.
Yeah.
In a normal building, but it's only got 4 floors in it because they're all double-heighted, big inside rooms. So it's not very commercially viable as a building because it's 10 stories high. So you've got the maintenance of 10 stories and the lettability of 4. And 2 of those rooms are lodge rooms. One's commercial and, one's the ground floor. So how do we do all these things?
Yeah, it was built with a purpose. So
build a big one.
So, okay, so that was the idea. Okay, so build something so big, something so spectacular, nothing else can fail.
Well, it allows for the failure.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So if there was a heritage problem, for example, so we need to join the 2 buildings. So let's just say we build a 10-story building, not as big, and let's just say that connection between the 2, actually, it turns out that's going to be really difficult and it's going to cost $5 million. If it was a 10-story building, that's all of your profit gone. But if it's a 183-meter tall tower, there's a lot more profit in there that you can actually lose money on when difficulties come up.
Yeah. So I guess some of the concerns I've seen is like people asking, do we even have enough people in Adelaide for a building like this?
I love this question.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people see vacant C and D grade premises.
Yeah.
They see empty heritage buildings and they go, why aren't people using it? Well, because it's C and D grade, really degraded and run down heritage that nobody can afford to use. But if you look at Westpac, I think it's called RAA Tower now.
Yeah.
If you look at the Crown, if you look at the current hotel occupancy, in Gather Round, it was at 100%.
Yeah.
That people were screaming out for rooms. And people are paying for Airbnbs in the city, which is more expensive. And so they're screaming out for more hotel accommodation because the Labor government is bringing more people into the state with tourism than we've ever really seen before. It's probably true. They're not solving a lot of other problems. We won't go into that here, but there's a lot of tourism coming into the country, into South Australia, into Adelaide, and we can't deal with it. So why are we doing this? And why does Marriott Weston want this hotel? And why did some 14 massive worldwide brands pitch for this site? Is because they think they can make money out of it.
Yeah.
Because there is enough demand there.
And to be fair, if you think about Adelaide in its totality, there's no real
Pink one.
Yeah, there's no real standout hotel anymore. Like the Intercontinental, was once a grand and spectacular place, but I reckon in the last 20 years it's really kind of fallen from the hip.
You need that money as well to go and do the refits. Those refits are really expensive for hotels.
Yeah. And
people want different types of stuff.
Yeah.
Some people are very happy going on a camping trip for the weekend, right? Some people are very happy staying in a motel if it's just overnight and you're on the Haight Plain. But some people want to come to Adelaide and they want to have a premium experience. They want to go to Penfolds. They want to have a 40-course degustation. They want to go out to Kangaroo Island. They want to go and have these experiences
on a fancy time.
And so they want to go and stay in a Western hotel. And it's really, really important for South Australia because it's going to be an upscale hotel. Yeah,
because you think about Intercontinental, Hilton recently did some renos. It's okay. It's not like it's not world class. It's not what Adelaide should
They're
be
not
having.
5-6-star hotels.
No, they're not. They're tied, and they need. Yeah, I think this would be, for me personally, would be a great addition because every big city deserves a nice, beautiful, luxury resort. Or
And there's a
hotel.
demand there for it as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, all right. So that's the idea, and we went through the concept. What about on a symbolic level? What is this? Adelaide obviously doesn't have a skyscraper, right?
No.
So, what do you think this represents for the city as a whole?
Totally, right? So many of my friends from university have gone.
Yeah.
You know, we've got like really, really great talent who have gone off to something bigger, you know. Someone like Gemma, you know.
Yeah.
You know Gemma, right? So
Yeah.
she's won a national award, and where's she going to go? Well, she's going to go to Sydney. So we've got all these really young, talented people here.
The brain drain.
The massive brain drain.
Yeah.
Because they're chasing more and more opportunity.
Yeah.
So they're going interstate, they're going to Sydney, Melbourne. And what that does is like it sucks out from our economy. Where it sucks out all of these like really high performers,
The talent.
the businesses that we could, you know, build on. If we look at our ASX listed companies here in South Australia, we don't have anywhere as what we used to. I think we have a few left.
Yeah.
We have like Santos.
And they're mostly mining, so it's not even relevant to the city
Yeah.
CBD, really, is it?
So why, you know, what we want to do as a city is make sure that people have the facilities to come and stay. Now, will this skyscraper change that? No, it won't. This is what this is going to add to that skyline. It's going to provide a new facility, and it's going to be across from Adelaide University. So professors, things like that, can come and stay. We can hold more of those conferences here, and in fact, you know, performers like big performers like Pink or you know Taylor Swift, they would come in and stay in a hotel like this, and it is something that they would look at when they come and stay and visit.
I guess it's true. And it's also like the symbolism of skyscraper is big city, right? So if you're growing up in Adelaide, you're a young kid and you look up at the skyline, you're like, oh, this is just a town. I'm living in a town. But now, when the skyscraper is built, you'll look up and go, wow, there is a tall tower. Like Adelaide's a city. It's a proper metropolitan city.
Yeah.
So it kind of does change the dynamic of the conversation around Adelaide.
Sense of self.
Yeah, so itself will change. So it basically elevates Adelaide to the next level. I guess some people don't want Adelaide to elevate to that next level. They want it to stay as it is. But
I mean that's the problem, is that we've lost these local industries.
Yeah.
So it's all well and good to say don't change Adelaide.
Yeah.
That's great. You love it. That's awesome. I love it too. That's why I ran for Adelaide City Councilor, right? Because I love it and I want to see it do well. But if we want our state to continue to do well, we've lost these major industries, like Holden's. We've lost manufacturing here. We're fighting for the subs that are getting here, right? They're moving all these things elsewhere. Well, these major industries that South Australia was providing, we're losing them. So your Adelaide that you hold on to this nostalgic view, it's not going to be there forever.
Yeah.
You know, and if you look at internationally, like some cities, like I don't want to annoy an entire city from like Detroit, for example. Some cities can really degrade over time, and you have this brain drain, you have this massive vacancy, and that's what we're seeing in Adelaide.
Yeah.
So what you're going to see is more and more vacancy, more and more people leaving the city, less and less, and then more people will leave.
And crime goes up.
Yeah.
Because once the city loses its honour, like even Greece, for example, there's a huge brain drain. Most of the young Greeks are leaving, and now we have one of the highest birth decline rates in the world. The city is being littered with graffiti. There's drug abusers all over the streets. Like, it's literally because people just are leaving so much. All the talent's left. So you've left a city basically soulless. So,
you know, and that's part of it, because when people feel connected to their work, connected to their communities, connected to the future of a state, like they feel like they're part of something bigger, that has a really profound impact on the individual, and that means that drug use goes down. It means that crime goes down. It means that people will have families that they'll be able to live and live long and happy lives. And this is all connected with that sense of pride and with that idea that we can bring people into the city.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the building itself. What makes this building special? What makes this building different compared to the rest? Because people always say, oh, look, here we go, another Chinese-built, copy and paste building in the city of Adelaide or whatever. Like, they're not happy with the architecture itself, or they're not happy with who's building or why it's being built.
Yeah.
What makes this building special? What makes this stand out compared to the rest?
Right. Well, Freemasons founded the state. They didn't find it, they founded it. So Kingston Morfitt, I'm sure you've heard those names before. If you've ever been to court, the Sir Samuel Way building, he was a Mason. He was a Grand Master of Freemasonry. if you're a lawyer and you've studied in the Napier building in Adelaide University, he was a Freemason. Now, Edmund Barton, our first Prime Minister, Donald Bradman, the guy who invented Milo, the guy who invented Freddo Frogs, the guy who invented Vegemite, James Bogue, if you love a beer. All these people were Freemasons. And that wasn't a weird thing back then. Everyone kind of was one, right? Anyone who wanted to improve themselves, to look at something bigger, I suppose, and to be better, to get better as a person.
Philanthropic.
Yeah, yeah. And
I think Freemasons are responsible for around $2 million of donations a day worldwide.
Well, in South Australia, it's actually $2.7 million a year.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of money. So we've always contributed back to the state. So $2.7 million a year is being donated.
That's just Adelaide, yeah?
Yeah. And into organisations like Surf Life Saving or St. John's or a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Charities and all that.
Yeah, that are really helping South Australians. So Freemasonry has always been a part of it. And you'll see these lodges all around South Australia. Wherever you find a council chamber, there's probably a Freemasons lodge not too far away. And it's always been in the city, and it's been that hall where people can gather, like-minded people can get together, and it builds a community.
Yeah.
So Freemasons Hall was the tallest building back in the day.
Yep.
And we hope that on completion of this building will be the tallest again.
Yeah. So it's kind of like repeating the past a little bit in a nice, symbolic, nice way.
But like we're built up, Freemasons, stonemasons, it takes its history from the 1600s.
Yeah.
So, well, even before that, from the 1200s, that's the starting. So when we say Grand Lodge, fun fact, a lodge is the workroom which is next to a building site. That's what a lodge was called.
Oh, okay.
Right? So the master of the lodge is the person who would run the building site.
Oh.
Right? And so in masonry, it's like we have this, it's like a qualification system. It's like doing a degree or an apprenticeship. And we kind of almost make believe that we're kind of going through that apprenticeship. Because there's a lot of lessons to be learned by going through that process and upskilling and then taking on more and more responsibility and then giving up that responsibility.
Wow.
So that's a really important part of it, is that like the masters of the lodge, the people who run it, they only usually stay there for a year. And then they need to transition out of that.
Letting
so
go.
It's about a transition of power, about promoting young people and the new generations coming through, and then stepping back and letting a new generation coming through.
Well, I guess that's quite powerful to think about as well, because the lodge kind of reroutes itself with the new skyscraper. It's almost like, the lodge is back, because the lodge is living its purpose. It's living its purpose.
You can't get in there at the moment. It's all shut down because we have really weird people come into the building a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So, a lot.
Well, we were. It's George.
It's not just George.
We snuck in there one day. And we literally walked through the whole thing. No one told us off. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So conspiracy people. Right? I think there's some weird videos out there about people talking to ghosts and stuff. There are ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts.
I do.
But there are ghosts in the building.
I don't believe in them, but I've seen
it. They don't exist, but they are there. I don't know what to tell you. That's just how it works.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So...
Wait, so actually, quickly going into that. Yeah. So the lodge itself... Okay, so the building's been constructed, the skyscraper's done, the building's been restored.
We're going to continue to use it.
Okay, so the building will be used as a lodge still, and the skyscraper won't affect the usability as a lodge still? Like, does it retain its authentic...
That's right. It's
Masonic use? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that, Freemasonry is super secret and you can't talk about it. I'm a Freemason. I'm the Grand Registrar of Freemasonry. That means the chief lawyer. Ask me any questions. I'm very happy. It's not this secret thing that everyone... What happened, right? And we'll maybe go back to a little bit of the secrecy behind Freemasonry. There's a whole bunch of Nazi propaganda. We got caught up in the Holocaust, as a lot of Freemasons got executed and gassed and rounded up by the Nazis. And there's a whole bunch of propaganda coming about from that regime. A lot of that propaganda has continued to flow through. Now, some of your listeners, some of people who watch Adelaide Set might believe still that carrots are good for your vision. They're not. They're not good for your vision. That was a propaganda piece by the English military to disguise the fact that they had radar. Yeah. So we have these long-standing conspiracy theories, really, like carrots are good for your vision, which aren't true. And a lot of these things continue to come through. So anti-Semitism is still a big thing in the world today. And so is that anti-Freemasonry type of...
Yeah. So any small minority group will have some sort of weird conspiracy around them as well. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. But I mean, we weren't small. We had thousands and thousands of members, and
was
high-profile
Masonry
people all over
ever?
the place.
I mean, I know in Adelaide, Masonry was the majority at one point for men, in particular. Oh, just for actually everyone, really, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
I think it was.
I'm
I
not
think
sure
when
what
it
the
first started, I
population
think it was like 30,000 Masons in a 50,000 population. When
Yeah,
Adelaide,
okay.
yeah, that's from what that's from my research. But do your own research, please, guys, and check it out yourself. But yeah, look. So what I'm hearing is obviously Adelaide has a strong connection with Masonry. It's a quite profound history that should be respected and learnt. Yeah, why not?
Part of our culture.
It's part of our culture. It's what makes the city Adelaide, and there shouldn't be some sort of other worldwide conspiracy getting in the way of your ability to learn about your own city and have pride for your own city. I'm not a Mason myself, but as a young kid, I've always been really intrigued by the history dating back to the Knight Templars and the Crusades and Constantinople and Orthodoxy and theology itself.
Yeah.
So I've always had an interest in it. So that's why, me and Henry also connected. So it's just out of interest. But
Am I that scary?
Yes, he's a very scary man. He's a vampire.
You got that in your last
Yeah,
thing.
he's a vampire. Yeah. He doesn't look
You
like
know what I found so funny was
Yeah.
we're trying to keep this good, but there was this comment that someone made, like, the Masons will come out and kill you if you say anything negative. They're all bastards and they have all this power and ultimate control over the state. So if you say anything, they'll kill you immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're very brave, aren't you?
Yeah.
Then? So you truly believe that you're going to get axed immediately.
Okay, guys. I'm not dead. I'm not a clone, I swear. That's something a clone would say. Anyways, moving forward, let's talk about the building itself, like architecturally. Architecturally.
You can eat today.
Why? So, okay, well, actually, let me make a statement. So the building itself is all glass looking.
Yeah.
It's simple shape. It's an obelisk looking shape. So, it's not just straight up. It kind of curls in like a little bit.
It's
like
called intarsus. So if you've ever go around Adelaide, there are 3 different types of columns. Generally, you'll see in Adelaide. You'll see Doric columns, Ionic columns, and Corinthian columns. You'll also see on buildings, have a look around Adelaide, and you'll see these flowers with a dot in the middle.
Yeah.
They're Masonic symbols.
Yeah.
And these columns are, ripped off from the Greeks, as you'd say. But we incorporated that into the building design. So when Adelaide was planned out, a lot of these heritage buildings, on some buildings you won't see any of these circles with dots in them with the flowers. But on some you'll see them everywhere. So the idea behind the building and the shape of it is based on a column, a Corinthian column, which represents beauty.
Yeah.
So the idea of intarsus is a narrowing fatter at the base and then coming up. The idea of that is so that it looks bigger.
Yeah.
Right? So the Romans did that, so it looked like, the Pantheon was a lot bigger than it ended up being. And then you'll see on the side of it these lines, right? So the lines on columns. That also contributes to its verticality, to its height.
Yeah.
So the idea is that at the bottom, like the facade's like this. All right, let's go like this. It'll actually be tilted. So it's going to have this angle on it, and it's going to go boom, boom, boom. So it's going to have this kind of zigzag figure on it. That angle is going to reduce as we get to the top. Oh, it's not very good camera work there. It's going to reduce as we get to the top, so it becomes flat. And the idea is that it looks like the infinite, and it disappears into the sky.
So it's kind of like a infinity pool, but instead of being a pool, it's a building. It's like an infinity. You know how infinity pools, how they have an edge, and then it looks like it goes forever.
Yeah, and so the idea is that it's quite reflective, and it should disappear. So Freemasonry has been very, very present, right? It's been very present in Australian history, but you don't know much about it. Why? Because we've been present, but we've always kept a low profile. The Masons are not one to go around and
boasting.
tell everybody how and boast.
Yeah,
and this
they're
kind
not
of stuff.
boasters. Yeah.
Yeah, like you didn't see Edmund Barton say, "I'm, Freemason and first Prime Minister." Donald Bradman, most people wouldn't know that he's a Freemason.
Well, George Washington was a Freemason as well. He founded America, and for people who are considered
most of the Danish royalty,
they're
all Freemasons.
a lot of the founding fathers. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of people have a huge respect for America and what it represents as an experiment for humanity. So, I mean, if you respect America as a concept, then you must respect that its concept was founded from the Masons. Think about that. It's a bit interesting to think about.
And some of these symbols that people get quite frightened about. I have someone message me, and they're like, "Oh, what about this all-seeing eye thing?" Well, it means that essentially God's watching you and you're accountable to God.
Yeah, I think all-seeing eye, and plus the all-seeing eye
really
comes from
bad?
ancient Egyptian, ancient Greek time.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's not the eye of Horus or whatever.
Yeah.
It's an eye which represents. I've actually never seen it in my career.
Yeah.
But it is actually on the front gate, so you can see the the square and the circle with a kind of diamond shape.
Yeah.
It just represents
I
that
don't know if I've got one here.
you're accountable to a higher power.
I don't have one here, but yeah. So basically, cool history. Nothing to be. I mean, always be questioning, but nothing to be afraid of. Generally,
and you know what? I put in the comments. I say, ask me anything you want. No one ever has any questions for me.
Trust me, guys. If there was something sus about it, I'll be the first one shouting about it. But I literally haven't found anything sus. You know me. Yeah, they got to be. They got.
Good clone.
Anyways, enough of that, because this is the passionate history. So the building itself, the shape. I wanted to get around the shape. So, in terms of its
the column,
the energy. So the energy in terms of like it's kind of like a green building, right? We use the word green building.
Oh,
so
energy efficient. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that work?
Yeah, totally. Oh, sorry, I'm so excited. I can't let you finish the question. There's this thing internationally called the Living Building Challenge, and it's the idea that you want to make buildings as eco-friendly as possible.
Yeah.
Now, why do we do that? Well, because we make more money. In actual fact, so being able to have sustainable buildings that over time. Now, if you're building something and selling it, no one really cares about the developer and the builder. They don't really care about how efficient it is. But because we want to own this building and hold it for many, many years to come, we really care about its long-term sustainability. And that includes electricity costs, heating costs, the amount of water we use, the complexity of it, and also, shielding it, for example, from radiated heat, and also, how we can use that to keep the building temperate, because at the end of the day, it's economically makes a lot of sense in the long term.
Yeah, so like less aircon bills, less that kind of thing,
So the facade of it it will reject 60% of the sun and heat.
Wow.
So it just pushes it back out.
That's cool.
And converts it into heat, so that it'll have a more temperate, and we'll have obviously double glazed to keep that insulated, which means our tenants pay less, which is attractive to them. We'll keep them for longer. They'll make more money. We make more money, and we can, have more money to then distribute to South Australians.
So the building itself, what does it comprise of? Can you name all the parts of it? Like, what are the moving parts of that building?
Yes. So no moving parts. It'll all be very stationary, apart from the lifts. The lifts go up and down.
You want a little bit of movement though. A good building has to move. It will move. I remember when I was actually
do a little dance.
Quick divergent, but when I was living in the city, I lived in these apartments, and they're quite tall. They were 40 stories, and there was an earthquake when I was in the toilet, and I was in the toilet, and the whole building just started moving like this. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? I'm like, am I hungover? What is this? and then everyone starts rushing out of the building, and we all go downstairs. So it wasn't just me. I wasn't imagining this, but we had a little earthquake, and the building, in its engineering, it moves, because if the building doesn't move, it actually takes the force, and then that causes cracks. So you want your building to be a little bit flexible.
Totally, and that actually comes into a lot of the engineering reports, and also the wind.
Yeah,
so the wind will actually tilt the building over and push it over just a little bit. It'll be a few inches of movement. So what's in the building? It'll be a public viewing platform.
So that's the top. Are we starting top down?
Yep, top down. So up the top, we'll have a public viewing platform. So it'll be 3 stories tall. So it'll be like this giant floating cube, 183 meters in the air.
And is it enclosed, or can you go outside?
Enclosed, yeah.
Okay.
So the problem with Adelaide wind is it's bullety. It's
hits you hard.
If you've ever been to 2KW on the rooftop there, you just right. It's not the best. So we're going to fully enclose it. You can go up there, and we've been to London to have a look at some of the sky decks up there and how it really works really well.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you know the Gherkin, but they have a public viewing platform up there as well.
Yeah. So I've only been to Rockefeller Centre and Empire State Building, but they were both open. But I don't think the wind was that bad there, to be honest, from memory.
I went to France. I went to the Eiffel Tower, and it was awful.
Eiffel Tower, yeah.
My hair just looked awful.
Yeah.
Couldn't get any good selfies. Nothing that will go on Tinder. So the idea is it can be closed, and it's something that everyone in South Australia, we want you to be able to go there.
Safe.
Yeah, show your kids as you come through, and also visitors see the grandeur, the size, scale, where you're placed in Adelaide. And we hope that will encourage you to then go out and explore the hills, explore the regions, see Glenelg, and go down there, and you can put yourself in context with Adelaide.
Cool new perspective of Adelaide.
Also, if you want to get married, you can absolutely get married in the building.
That's cool.
Baby ballroom. It's not a ballroom for babies. I just think it's a smaller ballroom. And there'll be a function space where you can have events, things like that.
Is that below the sky deck, or in the part of the sky deck? Okay, so sky deck, the baby
function
ballroom,
center.
Function center. Yep.
With some meeting rooms, you might be able to have seminars, things like that.
Yep.
As we go down now, Marriott Westin is a really big brand internationally. It's huge. It's very well known, and Marriott is a brand that they have all these people as part of their subscriber program. So when people travel internationally, they always like to stay at. There are people out there who only stay at Marriott's.
Yeah.
And there's actually this cohort of people who go around and stay at brand new Western hotels. So it has this kind of cult following.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice, formal, classic hotel. It's not like this new age cool stuff. It's just very formal, down to earth, classic, vintage. That kind of thing, respectful, conservative.
Yeah, that's why we stayed in Bali, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. That was fun.
We stayed at what was it? Was it Marriott? Yeah. And it was great fun. It was an older version of it because it was built a while back, but it was great fun to have everything you need: pools, great service, food.
Yeah.
It was
classic, not too overdone.
Yeah.
Just a really nice
experience.
So that's a really big draw card. So we're going to be building a 240 key or 236 key hotel. Yep. Now, people have been asking me about demand. There's a lot of demand. There's so much demand for hotel space. We're very confident we'll be able to fill that. And so does Marriott. And Marriott know what they're doing.
Yeah, they don't take risks.
They're building a hotel every 18 hours. They're opening a hotel every 18 hours.
What the?
They're not silly. All right? They're not silly people.
Every 18 hours.
And
new hotel.
I think one just opened just then. Anyway,
that's crazy.
And so, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's so many hotels that wanted this space. We went with them because we thought they would be a great partner for us. We signed that. I got to sign the documents actually, which was very fun. In Sydney, with our joint venture partner Palevo.
Wow.
And then a museum. All right. So this is the kind of building we're talking about.
So Skydeck, function, hotel, and then museum. Wellness center.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
you
part
can
of
go
the
get a massage and get your nails done and
resort styles.
Whatever you do.
Acupuncture. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know about acupuncture.
I can punch you right now.
Acupuncture.
So it'll be that kind of business center, things like that, and you might be able to book out meeting rooms if you have a meeting in the city or something like that. There's some kind of like a boardroom, so you might have international people come in. You want to do a deal, take them somewhere nice. You could have them stay at the thing and then use the business center. So, are
we expecting a fancy restaurant?
Yeah.
I want a really fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also really want people to go out down to Rundle Street.
Yeah.
Because that thing is empty. Right, we just had Illuminate, completely full. Tonight, completely empty,
Yeah.
So we want to... Having that hotel space also keeps all those businesses that you know and love running. Like I used to love Two Pot Screamer. It's not there anymore because they couldn't keep the doors open. So having that kind of foot traffic there from hotels, things like that, will really help to keep those businesses alive. And then underneath that, something really important will be a museum. So we're looking at showcasing South Australia's history.
Wonderful.
So this is going to be a huge public contribution building. This is not just apartments. Right?
Yeah.
There's no apartments in it. It's a building that everyone in South Australia can be proud of. That you, as a friend comes over, you say, hey, what should we do? Go to the public viewing platform, have a croissant and a coffee, go down to the History Museum, and then go in and explore our state.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to call it the Keystone. I wanted to call it the Keystone because a keystone is that thing in the middle of an archway. Kind of looks like that, but upside down. But we have so much great stuff on North Terrace, right? We have everything from cute pandas to a space agency. But when somebody comes to visit you, George, what do you tell them to do?
I take them down south to Port Wollonga most of the time.
People tell them to leave.
Yeah. Get out of here.
What should I do in Adelaide? Oh, you should go away.
Go 45 minutes south.
Yeah. Why don't you go like 2 hours that way?
Yeah.
Or go to the Barossa, go to McLaren Vale, go to Kangaroo Island. That's all great. Those are really great things. But we've got all this great stuff in the city as well. So we want people to extend their stay here in South Australia. Like if you're going to Sydney, you could stay there for a week and still not be bored, right? You go and see the Opera House. You go and see the galleries and museums. You go into the city for shopping. You go. Then you might actually go out to Bondi, right? So there's all these things. Go over to Manly, take the Manly ferry. So there's
art galleries.
Yeah, the zoos, right? But in Adelaide, it's go to Harndorf.
Yeah.
Right? And so we don't want that. I mean, we do want that. Love Harndorf. We definitely want to be going to Harndorf. But also...
We want more. We want honesty. You can have both. It shouldn't just be one or the other. It should be both.
So you come here for Live Golf, right? We come here for the Adelaide 500. We want you to stay the weekend. We want you to explore the regions. We want you to stay in the hotel. Go and see the zoo. Go and see the National Wine Centre. Has anyone here ever been to the National Wine Centre for just a wine tasting? It's just not done.
Yeah, besides me, I go there.
No, okay. Well, you're fancy
Like, because my school was right next to it, so
no.
we were like had a great
So
relationship.
when you were at school, you went to the National Wine Centre.
Yeah.
Oh.
And after we had our 10-year anniversary.
That explains a lot about you, actually.
Yeah, I love South Australian wine. It's great.
Yeah. So we want Keystone to be. We've got all this great stuff
Yeah.
in Adelaide City, and Keystone. We want that to be the thing that holds it together because we would love South Australians to say, "Hey, you're new to Adelaide. Go to Keystone, go to the public viewing platform, learn a little bit about our history, and then go down North Terrace, go to the National Wine Centre, go to the Fringe, go down Rundle Street, make sure you have food there, and go out and explore our regions. And we want to increase the amount of tourism stay that people can have here in South Australia. It's something we really desperately need.
And what about below the museum? Is there anything else?
Tunnels, very much tunnels.
Okay.
Old people. Not messing with them. Oh no, there's what do you mean?
Like, is it so? It's the platform.
No, the museum is like so. It's basically public viewing platform.
Yep.
Some function space, hotel. It's going to be a wellness
So
center.
the hotel's a big part of it then.
Yeah, it's the
Huge.
biggest part of it.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a museum space and a
Yeah.
gallery, and then we're going to have this great hall, this huge hall.
Oh, okay.
It's called Ouch Studios.
Ouch.
Okay. Yeah. If you got a moment, not now, obviously don't turn off the podcast, but have a look at some things that Ouch Studios do. They've got this giant cube. Type in, I think it's Google Ouch Studios cube, and you'll see some of the lighting placements they have.
Yeah.
I would love to actually have a hourly or half-hour show of lighting, something like that. That's just going to turn this kind of
that's what's about
normal thing into something extraordinary that you will come and see every single time.
Actually, that's the next question I have. Is the building itself going to be able to be lit up and like in Dubai they have their tall building can
Yep.
lit up and like really cool stuff like
Oh.
illuminate Adelaide, right?
Yeah.
Why can't the building have like LEDs
Yeah.
and turn the building into a massive
Totally.
extravagant?
Yeah. Also, for example, there's a showdown,
Yeah.
right? So the Crows are winning, right? So we light it up in the Crows thing.
Yeah.
And then Port Adelaide takes over.
Yeah.
So we light it up in
So it's like real time.
brown.
Yeah.
But then they win again, and you put the Crows colours back up, right? And so
Yeah.
you can actually communicate with
Like
with
the dome
with
in
the
Las,
population.
like the Las Vegas, they have the big dome now.
Yeah.
Obviously not at that
Yeah, like
extent.
that, kind of like that.
So the building will
Not
have,
not like a giant, Pac-Man face, but
it will have the
the
ability.
ability to communicate.
Okay, that's
So
sick.
imagine the Belgian consulate is coming to town, or someone from like America or something like that, and someone significant coming. I don't know, Katy Perry's coming in.
Yeah.
We could say hello, Katy Perry.
Oh, so you can actually write words on it as well.
We could. But also we
should.
could say the Belgian ambassador's coming in. We could light it up. But here's something I really want to do. Here's something I really would love to be able to do. Is imagine if you go to the History Museum, you go to the public viewing platform, and you put your name in, and you go into the drawer to be able to control the lighting.
Yeah.
So imagine you're sitting on Rundle Street. I don't know, maybe you're on a date, and you go, hey, if I can turn that building green, you have to go on a second date with me.
Yeah.
And they go, nah, that's never going to happen. Green.
Yeah.
So you can interact
imagine
with it.
proposals of it. Like,
Yeah,
will you marry me on the building or stuff like that?
Yeah, and then everyone just thinks they're getting a proposal. So there's like 4,000 breakups instantly like that because they didn't get proposed.
Or marriages.
Why don't
We
you
promote
just
young
marry
families.
me like that? And then that's it. That's the end of the relationship. So
Because
no.
the reason I bring it up because Dubai, like, even the Eiffel
Yeah.
Tower, they all have lighting shows, they all
Yeah.
have lighting displays,
We can
and
totally
New
do
Year's Eve, you have a New Year's Eve party around
Yeah.
the building, have fireworks coming off, like the Sydney Harbour does, like all that kind of cool.
Yeah, we want it to be a public building. We want it to be something that South Australians are proud of. That's really ingrained in the community, and yeah,
Cool.
that's the idea.
Okay, and the building is set to be commence construction when, and how long will it take?
So we're hoping to finish by 2027.
2027.
So that will be its hundreds.
That's pretty quick.
Hundreds, yeah, it is pretty quick. I mean, I've been working on this for 3 years with the board.
Yep.
There's been different board changes that we go through. I've been working on it since its inception, since the first draft of it. I prepared a report called the Project Cerberus Report, named after the three-headed dog of the underworld, and put 3 options to the membership about what we could do with this site. And to see it now, to get development approval, is just so exciting. It's such a huge amount of work. We went to the SCAT panel with about 750 pages plus of reports and information. They're thick pages. They're just full of text, right? And there's no pop-up book. They are massive reports to get to this point.
ChatGPT on steroids. such a joke. I know.
So and it's been so.
So how did that actually? Yeah. For people, because that's the most recent update. So what actually happened? Explain it like I'm a 10-year-old. What actually happened?
Sit down, George.
Okay.
Hands on heads. No, okay.
No, what actually happened?
So you said like a 10-year-old. So
like a smart 10-year-old, or like a 4-year-old, like a 10-year-old, like a 12-year-old. Explain to like a 12-year-old. So you had a meeting.
Yeah. So So this thing called the State Assessment Panel. It's called the SCAP.
Okay.
And it is depending on the size. If it's over $20 million in value, it doesn't go to council. It goes to the State Assessment Panel. For regional areas, it's over $3 million, I believe. That's the threshold. So most things come to council, and then everything over the threshold goes to the State Assessment Panel. This was one of those things. So what happens is we need to prepare all these reports. We spent 3 years getting that together, including geotechnical. We drilled down 90 meters. We did traffic studies. We did lighting studies. We did aeronautical. We had to consult with the Adelaide Airport about what they would like to see and what their requirements were with the PANZOPS limits. And then we actually had to put together a floor plate which would stand up and engineering reports to say this was possible. So we come to this SCAP panel with all this material. Getting to there is a lot of discussion. It's a lot of consultation with a lot of different bodies. And then we sit in the SCAP panel. Ours went for 4 hours. There was a number of people who made deputations and had some concerns about traffic primarily. In and out of the site, and then the SCAP panel will make a decision, and then we get notified. So it was a long process to go through, 3 years worth of work, 800 pages basically, to get to a 4-hour meeting, and then a decision is made in the afternoon. So
the decision's been made. It's positive news. Is there any other hoops to jump through, or is that basically the big final hoop? Or
there's a few things called reserve matters, things that we need to sort out.
Yeah.
But a lot of the detail coming up to the SCAP panel is a lot. But then the next stage is even more, right? So
this is
way more information.
So the SCAP panel wasn't the biggest hoop, or
no, it is. Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, can you do this? And until that stage, we have no idea if we're going to do it or not do it.
Okay.
From now on, though, we've actually got to now do all the detailed design. We've got to figure out where every light switch goes.
Yeah.
Where every single pipe goes.
Yeah.
Where when you flush a toilet,
stuff.
Where that goes, right?
Yeah.
How are we going to recycle stuff? What about pumps? What about the footings? The footings are such a major issue.
We're gonna put the mole people.
Yeah, the mole people, right?
We have to move them.
Yeah, we have to.
It's a very.
Are we going to put them into temporary refugee camps, or
logistical
do they have other tunnels? It's a lot of communication with the mole king.
Yeah.
Definitely. So a lot of treaty, kind of stuff there that we have to discuss with them. They really like it. They really like it. So
they're for it.
Yeah, they're absolutely for it. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay, and I guess, are there any surprises?
So we're going to do more detailed thing.
Yep.
And then we look to do demolition of the rear hall.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a really nice heritage building back there. But we actually fully explored keeping and retaining that building. We looked at building over the top of it, building pylons through it. It just wasn't going to happen. All right, we really tried, because Freemasons built that. We wanted to keep it, and we looked at everything we possibly could.
Oh yeah, that's what we need to do next. We need to read some of the comments, and I'll let you go.
Oh yeah, some comments.
All right, guys. So we're moving towards the comments section. I'm gonna
My favorite comment is, "Who the hell is this guy? Why does he keep responding to everything?"
Yes. Okay. First one's first. Yeah. So I'll do it.
Oh, that's a good question.
Which one?
Yeah, people keep asking me, why don't you spend money on something else? Well, we're not the state government. So people are saying, well, this is money could have gone to health or education. Well, no, it couldn't have. So we're looking for private investors to fund the building. And there's quite a complex financial modelling thing. This is not state government money. This is private money. And it's there'll be a contribution from the Freemasons as well. There's money sitting there that we'll need to put in as equity, including the land. So no, we can't borrow to then give it to education or give it to something else. This is for a private entity, and the people who are going to fund it or to lend the money to the project want their money back. So
yeah, I see a few comments like that. Why is it not for the homeless people and stuff like that?
It's a commercial operation. So now, this commercial operation is profit maximizing, but the funding from that will go into restore heritage around the state, including the front building. And we're not just keeping the front mast, right?
Yeah.
We're keeping the full front tower. It's not just chopping it off and building on the back.
Yeah.
We're keeping a huge amount of floor space, the whole integrity of the front tower
Yeah.
as you drive past on Paris.
All the facilities that require the Mason Lodge to be a Mason Lodge remain. The only thing is that grand hall, which is not even really used for stuff, lodge stuff, isn't it?
It requires a huge amount of maintenance. It's really outdated, and the floor there is basically being ground down to a toothpick.
So the building itself the skyscraper is being built to save the lodge. That's the whole, like, that's where the idea came from, and then the concept became the skyscraper. So guys, remember, in philosophy, things always start off as ideas. So what's the idea? Be like, okay, we need a place in Glenelg to enjoy ice cream. And then what happens after idea is a concept. Okay, well, the concept is, let's build Gelatissimo. An ice cream shop. Or, so that's what is the concept. So there was a problem. Problem is Mason Tower, it's going to start degrading. We don't have
the money to maintain it.
Idea, let's fix it. We need money. Concept, skyscraper. Yep. That's how it's happened. So that's and it's also the same in drama and acting as well.
Yeah.
And I guess someone's saying, I can't wait for a 183-meter tall tower to block my view of the coastline. What do you say about that?
Well, it's, unless you're at 183 meters tall, which nobody else is, it won't be blocking the skyline. I mean, there's actually a concept in law, you don't have a right to a view. So if your neighbor builds something next to you, well, yeah. I think you'll still, the coast is really big, so you should be okay. You'll be fine. You can go to Glenelg. You'll see it. You'll see the coastline.
Yeah, so some people... Okay, I guess the biggest confusion for people is that, one, they think the heritage building is being lost and just going to be facaded. No, the heritage building is being completely restored to its absolute grandeur. The building is behind, and the building is behind it. The only thing that is being removed is the hole, which, yes, is unfortunate, but the most important parts, the most juicy, important parts of that building will remain and be fully restored.
And you can come in.
Yeah.
Right? We're hoping the foot traffic, you can come in and have a look at it.
Yeah.
Explore it. We hope this to be a South Australian destination.
Adelaide's built on a fault line doesn't seem smart. Look, Adelaide is built on a fault line, but the continent of Australia is geologically on a very stable ground. We don't have much significant movement to be worried about that, and that's why Australia is considered one of the safest places in the world, because of our lack of seismic activity. Yeah. Australia literally sits in the middle of a tectonic plate. So I wouldn't be so worried, and I can speak on this because I was a geophysicist. I have a degree in geophysics. I studied this for years. For 9 years, I studied this stuff, so I wouldn't be worried about that. And plus,
so you're well grounded in this subject.
Yeah, I am. Geology rocks. I mean, why destroy a grand hole, Tartarians? They're not destroying the grand hole, guys. They're not.
Well, it will be destroying the hole at the back. That will be.
Yeah, but that's not real. That's not a hole.
It's a very small percentage.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I mean,
it's a very small percentage of the floor plate, and we'll be keeping and restoring the vast majority of the floor plate.
Yep. And guys, so another comment, just awful. Adelaide clearly wants to be the new Melbourne. Lots of steel boxes parading as architecture, unrelenting overshadowing grimness that never lifts. As I said, guys, I'll let Henry respond as well, but this is not just some sort of steel box. This is literally one of the most... Like, I've seen 3D models of this building. It's going to be very iconic, very grand looking. It's going to... It almost has that Art Deco vibe in turn. Not like the actual architecture, but the Art Deco feel. Something majestic looking. It's not going to be like a Chinese-built... thing that you see in Melbourne. They do copy and paste everywhere. It's going to be very unique looking.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's so easy to just say, oh, it's ugly, and it's just a cop out. And good on you. You're allowed to have like an artistic view. Some people might say that the pigeon in Rundle Mall is ugly. The pigs are ugly. The other thing is like a beauty of a sunset is the contrast of it. Right? People like sunsets because of the contrast. You don't just call the blue sky the most prettiest thing you've ever seen. It's having something which is, I suppose, pure, and that we don't want to interrupt the purity of the design and the simplicity of it. And the simplicity behind the design also allows for more complex backdrops as you wish. The other thing is the reason why it's square is because it's so much cheaper to build something square than round. So round things are extremely expensive, and that's why the tower in Sydney, that round one where the casino was such an expensive build. And Adelaide probably isn't ready, doesn't have the demand to build something that complex just yet. But this will be great. It's going to upskill Adelaide as well. That's the other thing. It's going to give a lot of jobs to people. It's $400 million project.
I'm just still reading through the comments. Anyways, guys, the most of the other comments are literally just ridiculous statements. I'm not even bother answering them. Do your ridiculous statements, but like, come on. I love you guys, but seriously, god damn.
I don't mind them. And the funny thing is, like the Freemason thing. If you have any questions,
well, look, honestly, the Mason.
You know where I am. Just give me, send me a message on Instagram. I'll respond.
I've watched a doco about the whole Mason things, and look, we're going to do an episode about that eventually. When Henry has time, but right now the priority is the tower.
Yeah,
but
exciting.
we will do an episode with Henry where we can do like a sit down D&M. I might not even do it here. I might actually do it. We might actually do it in the Grand Mason hole, in front of the staircase,
It's pretty echoey.
and like have like that's right.
Hello.
We can use these proper mics, and we have like it will make it look really like be like a proper episode, like a really really cool done,
Yeah.
and we can even like do some. I don't know. We have to do it soon because the building will start.
33 stories.
Yep. Oh yeah, the 33 stories.
Everyone, it's so funny the first time that you actually did a post on it when it was first announced. And everyone's like, 33 stories? Oh, it's a conspiracy. They're onto us. I'm like, no. We made it 33 stories for that very reason, because there's 33 degrees in masonry. So, no, it's no conspiracy. We did it on purpose.
And 33 actually is a very Christian number as well. It's actually in the Bible. There's a lot of repeats of 33. I think Jesus was 33 when he died.
Order 66.
Order 66? Or was
Yeah,
that
so
33
what was
plus
Order
33?
66?
33 plus 33?
No, in Star Wars, bro.
Oh. Well, when everyone
When they
died.
shot all the
Yeah,
Jedi, right?
yeah.
So they gave Order 66. Half of 66 is 33.
Yep.
The Freemasons take their rise from the Knights Templar, and there was an order on Friday the 13th to go and execute all the Knights Templar.
Yep.
So Star Wars actually has a reference to the Masonic, the Templar Knights who were all executed.
Yep.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that Order 66 is double 33 because it's in the future.
Yep. And that's where I think the 33 degrees originates from Scotland, right? It's where the original...
Oh, they've kind of built up over time.
But like the origin story is Scottish?
No, originally there's only 3 degrees.
Because the London Lodge is the first lodge, right?
Scotland. So the building of the chapel.
Rosslyn Chapel. Is that the first ever lodge?
So-
Okay, I've been there.
No, that was kind of when they had the first kind of grandmaster. So lodges have been around. A lodge just means a building next to a construction site.
Yeah.
So ever since 1000,
Yeah.
1000 AD, they were starting to build bigger and bigger cathedrals. They had these workrooms next to it,
Yeah.
and they were called lodges. And they were normally built on the southern side of the cathedral.
Do you think it's also funny that everyone's like, oh, it's satanic, but then like, oh, the Satanists did a really good job building all the churches.
That is hilarious.
I reckon that's funny. I reckon what's Satan's first mission? Let's build churches for
exactly
Jesus.
Right. That's what we want to do. We want to build Catholic and Anglican churches. That is our number one priority because we got a bad rap.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I literally just thought of it. I was like, yeah, they're so
That is
satanic. They're like,
hilarious.
let's build the most churches as we can.
Yeah. You know what I think is, all these Satan worshippers are trying to, carry our good name. They're trying to say, oh no, we donate all this money to charity. We build all these churches.
Well, I only learnt last night, Luciferianism is actually not named after Lucifer the devil. It's actually named after a bishop called Lucifer who defied the church and created his own version of Christianity, and it was called Luciferianism. And then because Lucifer's name was Lucifer, they attached it. But it's actually Lucifer the bishop, not Lucifer the devil, which is really like most people don't know that. I only learned that last night.
And the thing is around like the secrecy around Freemasonry. It's not that secret. It's like
you can find most on ChatGPT.
Well, do you go to work and you have a login for your work computer? If you do, that's about the same type of thing.
Yeah.
It's not this massive kind of like we do it in private and look, it's not this kind of big whole nuclear codes thing. It's really about honestly, us making a promise to each other.
Honestly, guys, it's literally a big boy scout with a bunch of historical nerds who love history, and that goes back all the way to classical times. So there are elements of acknowledging classical history, which of course is paganistic. Doesn't mean you're worshipping it.
Well, it's not a religion.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But because you're like paying, like say ancient Egyptian, right? Just because you pay attention to Ra, like I studied Osiris or Ra at school, doesn't make me a pagan. Doesn't make me satanic. Because I'm learning
mythology. Yeah,
like I love Greek mythology and I study about Zeus and it doesn't mean that I'm a Satanist now. I'm a Christian. Yeah. But I can still study history. So what Masonry has done well is they've looked at the past and they've respected it in a really powerful way, which helps with men's empowerment. doesn't mean they're worshipping the thing. It means
No,
they're just learning about history. It's
like
like
a trade union kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's actually just advancing through a qualification series like you would do a degree.
Yeah.
Or at school, you go through a degree, you know, your years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing.
But that, I mean, what I'm trying to get at is it overall the benefit of being a male and learning about ancient history is you become a more learned person because you're people who ignore their history seem to repeat it, and that's where things can happen trouble. So,
but like you said, we can do a whole thing on this. We can
Yeah,
do
we
a live
will.
stream at some point, and you can sit there and fire me questions.
and I will ask tough questions, guys, because I've been watching a lot of stuff. So we'll ask tough questions. I'm sure Henry will be prepared.
Or in the meantime, just ask me a question. It's so fun. I say ask me anything, and I'm like, nah.
But I'm saying what would be a really cool idea is like doing a round table, like King Arthur meeting at the lodge hole before it starts construction, and get you and maybe 2 other masons who are like considered
Sure.
like older heads who know a lot.
Yeah.
And then I can just ask questions.
We actually did. I'm not sure if it's available online, but we actually did a full public interview. A thing called
Malevolent?
malevolence or benevolence. And we talked about this type of conspiracy in the public, and it was part of History Week.
Yeah.
So that was really good. I got to speak there and chat about what Freemasonry meant to me and what it is, and
So there's a lot of stuff we can do.
just chill. It's
But
fun.
Henry, I'm sorry, but the whole vampire thing, I think there's nothing we can do there, mate. It's done.
I don't even have teeth,
You
and I don't spark.
I think people are never not going to believe you're not a vampire. I'm sorry.
Because I'm like, what am I, 34 and I look so young?
No, it's
Like, not
because
age
it's
or-
because that first you wore a 3-piece suit and your skin looked really shiny and like your hair was like perfectly pushed back, so you literally like Count
So I look
Dracula.
after myself and I'm a vampire.
No, you like Count Dracula. That was just that one particular episode. I love it. I think it's quite funny.
Nah, vampires suck.
Literally suck. Anyways,
Anyway.
all right, guys. Well, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I wanted to give you a thorough understanding of what this skyscraper is, what it represents. Get the director himself. This is the man responsible for Adelaide's first ever skyscraper. He's the man.
Can we quickly thank the other people we're working with?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So Pelagra is our joint venture partner. They've been absolutely amazing with us. They're a big developer in South Australia, really doing some great stuff like with the old Calvary and also the old Holden site as well. So they're really, really great joint venture partners, bringing a huge amount of expertise. I'd really like to thank Walter Brook, who are our architects. They've been incredible, a beautiful design and always really, really helpful. Future Urban have been our planners, and Arab Engineering is a global engineering firm, which have been doing a lot of our geotechnical works, and you'd love all that. I have to show you the report.
Yeah, definitely.
But they've just been amazing as well. So we've got some great partners there. There's been a lot of board members as well who've been a part of this, not just me.
Yeah.
And our lead consultant, Michael Baragwanath, who,
And most importantly, I want to thank Henry's mother, who's in the other
Hey,
room,
Mum.
who gave birth to this great man to even put this all together.
Yeah, thanks, Mum.
So it's actually
That's not weird at all.
Henry's mother's responsible, truly, for this.
Yeah, so blame her.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, blame her. No,
yeah.
I'm here for you.
Pass responsibility to Henry's mother.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Henry, for being here again,
Pleasure.
and we'll keep you updated with any more things.
Great.